So during a recession, the general consensus among your average investor out there is sell, sell, sell. And if there's one thing that I've learned about the average retail investor out there, they tend to do exactly the wrong thing at any given point in time. So rather than looking at what the average investor is doing, which is going into a mad frenzy for cash, I thought it would be interesting to instead look at what billionaires are doing right now as far as investing in the stock market. Now, the main problem with your average investor right now is that they are selling and trying to cash out of the stock market either because they need cash for their day-to-day lives, which is more understandable, or they're tied up in the psychology of fear, which causes them to want to get out of the market due to the uncertainty. And if there's one thing you have to know about the stock market, it's that money is made by buying low and selling high. You don't make money in the stock market by selling low, which is what millions of people are doing right now, evidenced by the stock market crash that we have seen. So the question is, what exactly are these billionaires doing right now with their money? Well, I called a couple of them up on the phone and unfortunately they were busy. But it's a good thing we have social media as well as regulatory filings to take a peek into their personal financial lives. So we're going to be looking at 3 billionaires who have purchased 5 stocks in the last month and talk about what they purchased these shares for and what is going on with this underlying company they have purchased. Also, one last thing I want to mention here, guys, Webull is ending their 2 free stock promotion at the end of this month. So if you sign up for Webull right now and fund a brokerage account, they're going to give you 2 completely free stocks just for signing up with that account. That's going to be the top link down in the description below. You guys have a couple of days left to do that if you want to get those 2 free stocks before that promotion ends. And full transparency, guys, I am affiliated with Webull, so I may earn a small commission if you use that link. That being said, let's get into billionaire number 1 and talk about what stocks were purchased. All right, so first of all on our list, we have billionaire Mark Cuban. Now, Mark Cuban is not a hedge fund manager. He is not a CEO of some publicly traded company that is required to disclose their holdings, but instead, Mark Cuban voluntarily shared 2 stocks he purchased in an interview with CNBC earlier this month. So the first stock Mark Cuban mentioned that he purchased is Twitter, which is a stock he has been a long-term investor in. And he said he had purchased shares on that Thursday, which according to the interview would be March 12th. Now we have no idea what he paid for those shares, but on March 12th, Twitter stock closed at $26.78 per share. And this is a stock that was previously trading around $40 per share back in February. Now, according to Mark Cuban, he said he does not know what is going to happen or when, but he thinks long-term Twitter investors should make out okay. Now, the main reason we're seeing social media stocks selling off is due to advertising budgets. Investors are fearful that businesses and companies will spend less money on advertising, which is the bread and butter for these social media companies. So as a result, Twitter stock sold off from around $40 per share, right now trading at around $25 per share. Now, there's one other stock that Mark Cuban mentioned in that interview that he had purchased that week, and that is Live Nation. If you're not familiar with this company, this is one of the largest companies out there in the entertainment industry. A lot of event ticketing is run through Live Nation, and so as a result, because of the closure of events and limits to public gathering, Live Nation has absolutely tanked. Now, during the time frame when Mark Cuban could have purchased shares, Live Nation was trading anywhere from $35 per share to $50 per share. So we have no idea what Mark Cuban's average cost is on this investment, but we know he stepped up to the plate and said he had purchased shares of Live Nation. And as far as the stock goes, right now, they're about 50% off where they were at back in February because of the sell-off related to the virus and the mass closing of public events. And overall, in this interview, one thing that Mark Cuban highlighted is that people should not be focused on the short term. He said they should step back and take a look at the longer path of stocks, rather than just looking at what has happened over the last couple of weeks, and understand that people make money over the long term by investing in the stock market. Also, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, before we get into the second billionaire, please go ahead and drop a like on this video for the YouTube algorithm. It certainly helps me out and allows this video to get shared with more people. That being said, our second billionaire on the list is none other than Warren Buffett, and he made one large investment in the month of March. And based on where the stock is at right now, I don't know if Warren Buffett regrets this or not. I'll wait for him to call me back later in the day. He can let me know. But Warren Buffett scooped up shares of Delta Airlines in the month of March. Now, it's important to understand that Warren Buffett invests through his publicly traded holdings company known as Berkshire Hathaway, and at the end of 2019, they had over $125 billion in cash ready to be deployed, ready to be invested. Warren Buffett decided to load up on shares of Delta Airlines, meaning he now owns more than 10% of the four major airlines, being Delta, United, American, and Southwest. Now, as far as his timing here, well, the stock is down quite a bit from where Warren Buffett purchased. He purchased about 976,000 shares, according to a regulatory filing, at a cost basis of $46.40 per share. Now, as of making this video, Delta Airlines is down to 22 bucks a share. So in the course of just about 3 weeks, Buffett is down about 50% on this investment. And that just goes to show you guys, nobody knows what is going to happen in the short term with the stock market. Even the most well-known and well-respected investor out there, Warren Buffett, has no clue. So I went ahead and calculated these numbers here, and based on the decline, well, Warren Buffett is down about $24 million in that investment of Delta Airlines. And I'll be honest with you guys, right now I'm down about $14,000 myself in my trading account, and I do update videos every single month. I'll pop the playlist up in the corner of my own dividend stock portfolio, but I can't imagine buying into a market and in just a couple of short weeks being down $24 million. So just keep that in perspective when you're looking at your own trading account and getting nervous about your investing. So obviously, Warren Buffett is a big fan of airlines if he owns more than 10% of the major four. And the big reason why he buys airlines is because of the moat or competitive barriers to entry that the airlines have. Airlines are a very high upfront capital investment / low profit margin business because you have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on aircrafts as well as leasing space at airports for your planes. So it's not very likely that someone is just going to come along and try to compete for space with these major airlines. Now, as a result, because of the low profit margins and the high upfront investment, these airlines take on a lot of debt, and that is what is smothering them right now, is servicing their existing debts. So that is why the airline stocks have sold off massively while travel cuts are being placed. However, these airlines have proven to be a classic falling knife for investors such as Warren Buffett and even myself included. I started buying shares of airlines a couple of weeks ago, and I am down massively on those shares. So Warren Buffett is down about 50% on his new shares of Delta, and that's the problem with buying into a bleeding market, is you have no idea where the bottom is. But I personally believe 5 years from now, we're going to look back on this date and say, man, were those airline stocks cheap? But again, guys, that is just my personal opinion, and that is not financial advice of any kind. All right, and the final billionaire on our list is a well-known hedge fund manager known as Carl Icahn, and he is the owner of the Icahn Capital hedge fund. Now, hedge funds are mandated by the SEC to disclose any changes in their holdings quarterly through Form 13F, and that gave us a peek into what Carl Icahn has been doing with the fund's money. And in that filing, we found out that from March 10th to March 12th, ICANN purchased over 11.4 million shares of Hertz Global. This is the car rental company that you often will see at airports or other locations where people can rent or lease vehicles for personal or business use. And obviously, due to the cut down on traveling, this stock went into a massive sell-off. Now, this is a company ICANN has been buying into for a while, and now after the purchase of these shares, he owns 38.9% of this company. And as far as how much he paid, the average price per share was $7.43 for a purchase of just over 11 million shares. Now, as far as the stock goes, it went from trading around $20 per share down to a low of $3.18. However, it is now back up to the $6 per share range. And even as we see here, ICANN purchased his shares at around $7.50 per share. So again, nobody, even these billionaires, have any idea where that stock is going in the short term. And then the final stock here on the list, guys, also purchased by Carl Icahn, is Newell Brands. Between March 9th and March 11th, Icahn purchased just over 2.5 million shares at an average price of $13.41 per share, which means he now has a 10.7% ownership stake in Newell Brands. If you're not familiar with this company, this is a manufacturer and marketer of a number of popular brands here in the United States and also serving global markets. And to name a couple of those brands, we have Rubbermaid, we have Coleman. They also own the Ball jars and canning supplies. They own Crock-Pot as well as Calfaloon. Now, a number of those brands do fall under those consumer staples, things like Tupperware, that we use every single day and we continue to purchase, but a few of their brands are discretionary as well. For example, people aren't exactly running to the store to load up on high-end cookware right now because they don't have the extra money. So as a result, this stock sold off pretty massively here, down about 50% from where it was in February. So clearly Carl Icahn saw this as a buying opportunity and he loaded up on shares of this stock. So anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. These are 5 stocks that billionaires are buying right now. And if we look at the overall consensus here, they are buying stocks in battered industries like the airlines or social media, live events, as well as car rentals, and then some major brands that have really sold off because of the worries of consumer spending. We're seeing these billionaires investing in these hurt areas of the economy because some of these stocks have sold off 50% or more. Now, obviously, guys, these stocks could fall further, and perfect evidence of that is Warren Buffett's purchase of Delta Airlines and then having it fall 50% from where he purchased in just a few short weeks. So nobody has any idea where the stock market is going, but if you're paying attention to what the billionaires are doing, the general consensus is buying stocks in battered industries. Now, do keep in mind as well, these billionaires have a lot more risk tolerance than the average retail investor, and so if you are concerned about buying into stocks right now, it's probably not for you, because this is a very difficult time emotionally to be holding stocks and seeing your portfolio fall. But if you do have greater risk tolerance or a long-term vision, I see this as a great time to take long-term positions in high-quality companies. Like I said earlier in the video, guys, if you want to grab those 2 free stocks from Webull, you've got just a couple of days left before that promotion ends. But thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you stuck around to the very end and you haven't dropped a like on the video, well, I would certainly appreciate that if you would. Hit that bell for notifications, and I hope to see you in the next video.